Hi class, today we are going to look at still life composition. And just as the word composition is in our English language, when you talk of still life composition in art, has to do with putting various objects together to communicate or to make sense to the ordinary person. In English composition, we bring words together to form sentences and to make sense. In art, composition has to do with bringing the individual objects together to tell a story, to communicate to the general public. In this case, all the objects coming from different angles have been put together to become one set of work, and that is what we mean by composition. They are properly organized, making sure that they vary in sizes, they are not spaced out this way, they are brought together, well composed and organized, and that is all that we mean by composition in art. Now let's look at the various forms of composition that we may have. Of course, objects such as cooking utensils, cans, bottles, curtains, and so on and so forth are stuff that we bring together to form composition. I have here a set of composition, well arranged and organized. And let's see how the effect of light have on the individual objects. I'm talking about the tonal gradation and shadows. We have our cup in there, we have our spoon here, we have another spoon here. They are well composed, unlike when it's put this way for one to draw. They are all scattered. But in composition, you decide to bring them together, organize them properly, so that it makes sense to the ordinary person. Yes, so on this composition, we could see our source of light coming from this angle, reflecting on the objects. So this other part of the object has the shade. So we have the shade cast all over this part of the object, all cast over this part of the object, and then that part of the spoon. So it's obvious. Now in our next lesson, we'll be looking at open objects and how light displays on open objects. But for now, we are focusing on just composition. We are also going to look at how light is displayed on a different... Yes, class, so as I was saying, let's see how we can also form different set of still life composition using these pairs of shoes. Now, just as we see our students drawing them differently when it comes to composition, in this lesson, our aim is to put them together. And how do we arrange these objects to make sense to the ordinary person, to be well composed? Well, okay, so look at what I'm going to do now. I may decide to give this as my composition, if only it's easy for me to draw from where I'm sitting or from where you are sitting. If not, it's just a matter of you changing your position to sit at an angle where you can easily capture it or draw it. Or I can also decide to reorganize my items in a way that could easily be drawn and captured. Now let's assume this is a finished composition. Let's see how light also works or display on the object. Now we have light reflecting on various parts of the object, and the other side of the object we have the shades. So if we look at this shoe, we have a source of light coming this way, and then our shade reflecting all over the shade, because that part of the object or the shoe doesn't receive light, the direct light. Now, like I said in our previous lesson or videos, I'm not going to talk about objects or open objects and how light displays on them. We'll be looking at that in our next episode or lesson. Okay, so now let's focus on how light reflects on the surfaces and the kind of tones that it creates on the various objects. Now this strip of the shoe, okay, is giving this shadow on there. So let's look at how the various parts display the shadows on the other part of the object. For example, this very shoe has light reflecting in the inner part, leaving this side shade, having shadow cast just at the angle where the shade ends. So this is the shadow. That's also the shadow cast by this very shoe. And let's even see how this strip of lace leave shadow on the object that is just beneath it. So these are critical things that we should be looking at when we are capturing or drawing still life composition. And when you're able to get all these things right, it brings out the form properly and gives us that sense of solidity. So class, in conclusion, what we are saying is that a composition has to do with the proper arrangement of objects for it to make sense to the ordinary man or the ordinary person or the general public. It's a means of communicating an idea to someone or the general public. And these compositions are made up of different forms of objects. We have some which are cylindrical, we have some which are spherical, and then we have the cuboid. And others do not even have regular shape. The regular shape that we have some which are not regular. They all come to form still life composition. And the essence of this exercise is how light reflects on them, casting shade and shadow, and making sure they are rendered properly in a way that they could assume a three-dimensional art pieces. We bring our lesson to an end, and we'll look at another topic the next time when we meet. Possibly how light reflects on empty spaces or objects with empty spaces.